We have some more NHL trade activity this evening with a couple of deals involving the Pittsburgh Penguins. One interesting deal involving the Nashville Predators and the Penguins as well, swapping players with term. We actually have an old-fashioned hockey trade, plus we have lots of players on NHL waivers today. We have some signings in Utah, and we have the latest rumors around some of the top players around that could be moved ahead of the NHL trade deadline. We're looking at the latest around Mikko Rantanen and Brock Nelson, as well as some big updates in Chicago. All that and more coming up next. And Puljujarvi all on waivers here today. We'll find out tomorrow afternoon if they've been picked up or reassigned or what have you. In that case, some signings tonight, both of which are with Utah. And we actually have one in Buffalo as well. Utah has signed Alex Kerfoot to a one-year extension at $3 million. They've also extended defenseman Ian Cole. He gets a $2.8 million contract, which can be upgraded to $3 million because of his age. He is eligible for bonuses. So the bonuses take him to a $3 million total compensation. But for right now, his cap hit would be $2.8 million. And then we had a signing in Buffalo as well with Jordan Greenway signing a 2-year contract to remain with the Sabres with a total value of $4 million, giving him a cap hit of $2 million per season. Now, as mentioned, we had a few more trades since our last video here this afternoon, both of which involving the Pittsburgh Penguins. One, they trade defenseman Vinny Desharnais, who they recently acquired in a deal with the Canucks. Desharnais goes to the San Jose Sharks in exchange for a 5th-round pick in 2028. So obviously Desharnais has bounced around a bit this year, be his third team this season. So the Penguins move him. And the bigger deal tonight, they trade Michael Bunting in a 2026 4th-round pick to Nashville for Luke Schenn and Tommy Novak. Now, that was a trade that caught a lot of people off guard. Two teams that are out of the playoffs making an old-fashioned hockey trade. Now, some of these contracts have term on them. So clearly, they're not rental deals or anything of that nature. Clearly, we know the Nashville Predators are not happy with their season. Neither are the Penguins, both trying to kind of accomplish the same sort of thing here, that they're trying to be more competitive and open up a more competitive window for next year and beyond. We know that Kyle Dubas and the Penguins are trying to be as competitive as possible for the final few years of Crosby and Malkin's era with the Penguins, but it hasn't gone well the last couple of years. They're going to be out of the playoffs yet again in Nashville after some large spending and big moves this past summer. Did not work out at all, with the moves largely failing, backfiring, and right now we know the team is a bottom 3 team in the NHL, so they're going to end up with a high pick here instead of a deep playoff run, which is not what they had in mind. So Bunting and a 4th for Novak and Schenn. Now, with Luke Schenn's name being out there in the rumor mill, there was some talk that teams were interested in acquiring him and his brother Braden to reunite the Schenn brothers. That's still a possibility. Now, there's a chance with Pittsburgh that they very well might flip Schenn to a contending team for some different assets, but it's not a given that that's going to happen. I think they might explore it, but based on what we're hearing from the NHL insiders, it sounds like Novak and Schenn most likely stay in Pittsburgh, that this is a deal that they've made to kind of see their team hopefully be improved for next year. So those are your latest deals there. So the Penguins have had a busy night for sure. GM Don Waddell of the Columbus Blue Jackets also in an interview today confirmed that they are not going to be trading defenseman Ivan Provorov. They've had some discussions around a contract extension. They've not been able to come to terms or anything here as of yet. But at this point, Waddell says that that he doesn't feel it's right to subtract from this team, that they've been through a lot on the ice, off the ice, emotionally, everything, with Johnny Gaudreau and everything else that they've been through. And they've really, to some degree, maybe either overachieved or had an exceptional season, by some standards here. And, he doesn't feel like this group deserves to have the opportunity to get into the playoffs diminished by subtracting on the roster. So Provorov is not going to be dealt. That much we can say with certainty. So we'll see what happens. Now, they also announced today a big extension for Matthew Olivier. The Blue Jackets extending a 6-year contract extension for the tough guy. Of course, we know that the tough forward was going to be likely sticking around. We had heard for a while that a long-term deal was going to be in the works, and he gets 6 years, which is surprising because you don't see a lot of that, but he's somebody who wants to be there. Somebody who comes to work and works hard every day and certainly can lead by example on and off the ice, and the Blue Jackets do like a lot of what he brings, like I said, especially the intangibles. Now, on to some other top names that haven't moved here as of yet, but there's still lots of talk and speculation around these players leading into the last couple of days. One, Brock Nelson, New York Islanders, arguably the top player that's kind of being talked about, but we don't know 100% if Lou Lamoriello and the Islanders are going to trade him or not. It's still not really completely clear, but after last night's home win, the Islanders conducted an interview with Brock Nelson after the game on the bench, and he certainly got very emotional. So I think it's fair to say that, there's a decent chance he does get traded, but with Lou Lamoriello, it's not a given at all. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here because it's not clear. There is a possibility he may look to extend Nelson, but there's a lot of people that think that Nelson and Palmieri should and will be traded here in the next couple of days before this year's deadline. They're pending unrestricted free agents. The Islanders, say what you want about their team and where they're at in the standings. They need a retool in the worst way. They've been very mediocre at best in the last 3 to 4 seasons, and the fan base has been screaming for change for quite some time and haven't really seen a lot out of Lou that way. So I think they would welcome some deals, as much as it might be tough for them to part ways with some of their top longtime favorite players. But teams interested in Brock Nelson, there's a long list according to some that probably too many to list, but we know that Toronto, New Jersey, the Dallas Stars are definitely teams to watch in that regard. And that there's, like I said, that's not a complete list at all. There's a bunch of other teams here as well. We know the Carolina Hurricanes have been canvassing hard around the NHL to kind of gauge what the value might be on Mikko Rantanen as a backup plan. The belief is that Rantanen is not going to sign before the deadline. That could change, but right now that's where things stand. And, well, we know the Hurricanes don't want to get worse. They want to go for the Stanley Cup this year. So, obviously, if they think Rantanen on their roster gives them a better chance, they're likely going to keep him. But at the same time, they have to do their due diligence here and check around and see if they can find a big deal like they pulled off when they acquired him, to see if they can have any chance of making themselves better with a player that has, some term or are more willing to sign. Now, if they don't find that, it's not a given that Rantanen gets traded. It's probably 50-50 at best. If they're confident that they can get him maybe signed before the offseason truly kicks in, then maybe they take their chances, right? So it's tough to do because you don't want to risk a player for nothing. But based on how the team reacted and how everything has gone so far, I think we have reason to think that, the Hurricanes will give them every opportunity there. So we'll see. They definitely want to keep him, but the ball's in his court. We know that for sure. And with a lot of people wondering about the Devils, with Jack Hughes now out, and of course his brother's hurt, and then you've got Dougie Hamilton might be out for a while as well after leaving the last game. He could be out for a few weeks too. So with the LTIR pool, they obviously have some more flexibility. Some reporters like Elliot Friedman and other insiders, the Devils' plans are not changing at all due to the injury to Jack Hughes. It was still their intention to buy and make a push, and they have every intent of doing so. So we will see. Obviously, again, trying to play through the playoffs without their top player is going to be quite challenging, no doubt. But Rantanen is out there. Obviously, the Jack Hughes situation has kind of created a bit more of a need in New Jersey. But again, no given that Rantanen is moved. Now, Chicago as well. We know they picked up Spencer Knight recently in trade with the Florida Panthers. They now find themselves with 3 goaltenders, and apparently they're going to be going down to a 2-goalie rotation between Soderblom and Knight. So Mrazek is not going to be a part of it, I guess. So he will likely be sitting on the sidelines here, kind of relieved of his duties, if you will, for the regular season until he has to make an appearance for the playoffs. Now, obviously at that point, things could be different here, but the Chicago Blackhawks are probably parting ways with Peter Mrazek. Obviously, Mrazek is a veteran goaltender who's definitely overpaid by the Blackhawks for sure. But after acquiring Spencer Knight, they certainly have the option of moving on from somebody. And right now, it seems like he might be the odd man out instead of Soderblom. But after seeing Vitek Finchuk moved earlier today, there's not a big market for goaltenders out there. So on the odd chance that a team with more flexibility comes along that wants a goaltender, then certainly, this could be an option for them. Obviously, seeing players off the Kraken kind of join the list here as we get closer to flight time as well is somewhat concerning. Busy day tomorrow. I suspect the day before the deadline there probably will be a fair bit of pre-deadline activity, so certainly stay tuned. We'll keep up to date with all the latest news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.